Hello, this is F. Welcome back to my Ottoman Empire campaign. Last time, Ottoman forces captured the city of Vienna. 43% of the Central Army's manpower was lost capturing the city. However, for every Ottoman soldier killed by the Austrians, we took 2 of theirs. In this, Episode 16, the war shifts eastward. The Russian bear stirs. The garrison at Kiev has sallied out in an attempt to break our siege. Today's episode, we halt their advance and tighten the noose around the city. Let's get into it. We will attempt to keep our forces' casualties as low as possible, hopefully around the 10% mark. We just can't afford to lose too many of our troops at this stage. So we're getting our troops ready for deployment. We have 1 detachment of cannon, 2 light cavalry in the form of Mamluks, and we have 7 units of Israeli irregular line infantry that will be used as the backbone of our army at this stage, so we'll just position them around the map at key locations. And then we have desert warriors. Now, it's not the best use of desert warriors in the snow of Ukraine. They should do admirably. So considering the terrain, we have positioned ourselves on top of a hill. It's quite a steep incline, so as the Russian forces move towards our military, they'll be heading uphill. This should give us a good vantage point when engaging them. We need to make sure that we cut off any attempt at them trying to surround us. We are ready to engage the Russians, I think. If we have a look at their units, we can see we've got some cavalry, the Cossacks are moving up towards the hill, and as you can see, their lines are stretching out quite far on the map currently, so there might be an attempt by them to try and get around the back of the hill to take out our units and hit us in multiple directions. However, they might also attempt to just storm in a frontal charge and try and take us out head on. But as the Russian forces move into position, we'll need to just make sure that their cavalry is out of the way significantly before we engage and take out that detachment of cannon. So to that end, we'll look to get our Mamluks out from behind our troops, get them onto the map, try and see if we can get behind the Russian forces. We're just doing another adjustment here just to make sure that we're getting our troops where we want them to go just before the Russians start moving forward. And the cannons have begun to fire already, so that's great. That will be laying down some harassing fire against the enemy, hopefully take out the odd unit. As long as we can keep the cannons going throughout this engagement, they should keep harassing the enemy for the duration. We also need to be mindful, if we want to take out their cannons, we'll need to get our 2 units of Mamluks behind enemy lines. Obviously, if the Russians keep their 3 cavalry units close by, that could make things difficult for our Mamluks. I believe the regiment of horse that the Russians have is a shock cavalry unit, so that could cause us problems. And we could still have problems if they engage our infantry, but hopefully with the steep incline of the hill, that should tire the Russian units out before they get to engage us, at least in melee combat. So, as stated previously, the aim is to try and make sure that we don't lose more than 10% of our units in this engagement. Try and keep that as low as possible, considering the Central Army's lost 43% of their units. So we're going to have to make sure that we keep as many units going as possible in case the Russians launch any further attacks from Moscow. Our cannons continue to fire and our troops are moving into position. We can see from the minimap that our Mamluks have started moving past the Russian line. We continue to reposition our forces as the Russian army slowly makes their way northwards to engage us. One thing I do love is seeing the cavalry units in Empire Total War en masse just moving through. And we've moved our Mamluks to head almost horizontally in line with the current enemy forces. So they continue to position themselves behind the enemy line, and we can see that some of the Russian cavalry is starting to move up. We'll just move forward one of our other Israeli line infantry just to give more firepower and give those cannons a bit more protection. The cannons continue their bombardment of the enemy position. That will just keep that suppressing fire going. We're just moving up a unit of Israeli regular line infantry just to give a bit more firepower to that frontal position just near the cannons, just to make sure that we have them protected as much as possible. And we just re-maneuvering troops on the back end of the hill just to make sure our rear is covered. I think in future battles we'll need to have more of an aggressive stance against the enemy and really take the fight to the enemy. Obviously in this battle it is more a defensive battle. The Russians are moving to attack us, so you can bear that in mind, that positions of battles might change from time to time, but I do think we need to just be mindful and take on more of an aggressive stance, really push the enemy to the ends of their tether. Again, looking at the mini-map, we can see it looks like a unit is moving to try and circumnavigate the hill, so we're just readjusting our forces. Was a cavalry unit, looks like they're heading back the way they came. Cannons continue to fire as Russian troops move forward. Now our Mamluks have been hit by cannon fire. It looks like the Russian cannons are facing their direction. We need to move them out of the way. We've lost a few units, it seems, at this point, so while the Russian cavalry is maneuvering away, we need to reposition our forces. We don't want to lose anything. And the oh, that was an intense one. No Mamluks were killed, that's fine. That could have been a shot from one of our cannons, almost some friendly fire. We need to be careful of that. It looks like the Russians are lumbering up, so we're going to get the Mamluks in there, see if we can take them out pronto and just remove any issues. Oh my gosh, we've got a cavalry unit right here. Oh my god. I don't think our cannons... Nope, they're not going to fire off. They are not going to fire off. Oh, this is bad. Okay, let's get some Israelis. Come on, guys. You need to get your bayonets in there and remove those cavalry. Moving the general forward as well, just to bring some additional morale. Don't want to get him engaged just yet. And it looks like the cavalry have been beaten back. Let's just readjust our forces. We want the Israelis to move back into position. Make sure our cannon, come on guys, can you get back on the cannons? I think we've lost about 2 units, 2 infantrymen from the cannon battalion. The cavalry is moving off at a quick pace. Our cannons are firing again, that's great, so they are slightly out of position. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems for them, but it looks like they are firing. And the Russian cannons have been taken out, so that's great. We have some cavalry coming back down and some infantry, it looks like, so let's just reposition the Mamluks and see. No, I think we need to pull them back. Yeah, get them back, and then we'll see what the Russians do if they do look to pursue the Mamluks. Our line infantry have started to engage Russian forces. It looks like citizen infantry, so they should make short work of the citizen infantry. That will continue to fire. We'll lose some units, and that cannon fire was pathetic. It's right in the wrong position, just hitting the ground. But hopefully at least 2 or 3 of the cannons will be able to get their shots off and harass the enemy. You can see some more line infantry, it looks like. Yep, or Cossacks coming up, so hopefully our cannons can take them out. We'll put it on canister shot. Our line infantry continue to engage with Russian troops. I think we need to potentially bring up another line just to give some additional firepower. And we've got Russian cavalry there. Oh dear. It looks like they're going to try and push on this left flank, so we are sending some troops in. Where are they? Oh my god, they're moving so slow. They're moving extremely slowly. Let's pull our line back just a little bit, just so we can get some protection there for them and ensure that no one can circumnavigate their position. We've got another unit of Russian forces moving south of the hill, see if they might come around us. But this left flank looks slightly precarious. We need to move our position to the center again just to see what's going on there, but cavalry are being shot at and they're still moving in. Finally, we've gone into square formation. Hopefully that will deter the cavalry units to a degree, but that does give us a disadvantage. Being shot at by line infantry. We still think even if they do send troops around, we should still be able to hold this position. Just readjust our forces there. There's quite a lot of infantry directly in front of our central position. Hopefully the cannons will be able to fire canister shot and just reduce the impact of those troops. We've only got one square formation. We need to take out these cavalry. Come on guys, get into square. That's it. Now hopefully you can get rid of the cavalry and then we can swing our troops around and just hit the citizen infantry from multiple directions. Okay, looks like that cavalry's gone. We're going to move into point blank range and just take them out as swiftly as we can. Let's reposition our forces just in case Russians do decide to come around. Well, there's massive engagement. Oh dear, we've got our desert warriors attacking some Russian forces at the base of the mountain or the hill, but we have our cannons again. Oh my god, I'll be surprised if I don't lose these cannons. We're down to 17 men on the cannons. We need to push them back. Okay, they're being pushed back. That is fine. Let's just reposition our forces. This is mental. We reposition our line infantry. The Russian forces are routing. That is fine. There is a few line infantry there. We'll need to bring back our Mamluks as well because they feel like they're too far from the battlefield. At this point in time, we'll get them to run down some troops if we can. Let's send them up back into the fray because we need to get rid of these Russian troops now. Balance of power is more in our favour at this point, which is good, but we do need to make sure that we do take out as many Russian troops as we can, purely so that when we do engage with the garrison at Kiev next turn, we'll be able to capture the city fully. There is some Russian forces right at the bottom of the hill. Let's reposition our desert warriors, but they've been taken out quite quickly. They're down from 160 men to 150. They've lost 10 units already. I mean, it might be wise for me just to reposition them and move them from that engagement. Again, not many troops currently engaged in active combat. Desert warriors are, and a couple of line infantry are, as well as the Mamluks. So the Mamluks are running down fleeing Russian forces, so that should help reduce enemy numbers. Our desert warriors are down to 148. Was that cannon friendly fire? I'm not sure. Did not manage this engagement well. But we'll see. So it looks like the Russians still have a unit of cavalry, but most of their force is spent. They have a line infantry or Cossacks there. They have some more down at the base of the hill. Desert warriors are down to 139. We definitely should have moved them out of that engagement. The Russian line are moving back, or Cossacks, as so is their cavalry. Let's see, with the line infantry or the units that have fled now gone, let's see if we can run down the remaining forces. Just take out as many of the Russians as we can. Oh dear, our cannons again. Oh my god. Okay, that was a direct shot. Wow, that was pretty good. So that took out quite a good number of cavalry units there. And what are we down to now? We've kept our cannons at 17 men. Not great, but we haven't lost them, which is good. And our desert warriors are down to 119. And we still have not moved them back. They continue to engage with the Russian forces. It might be worthwhile getting all our cavalry out, including the general, just to run down the remaining forces. I think this unit of infantry should flee soon once we have, taken out any of their remaining forces. So we'll continue to run them down. There is another unit of line infantry that remains, so there's a couple of units of line infantry that remain. Where are they? They are moving towards our Mamluks. We need to get our Mamluks out of there. Come on guys, come on. Get out before they engage. Okay, it looks like you guys have got out alright. You're gonna run down the remaining Russian troops just to your left. And this might force the Russian forces are continuing to come down to us. Okay. Wow, our desert warriors have gone below 100. We are losing so many desert warriors. It's not great. Mamluks are being shot at potentially by those Russian forces. Okay, they're getting peppered with the canister shots, so that might cause them to flee, and our desert warriors are still taking the brunt of the attacks. Okay, we're moving them out finally. They've lost nearly half their men. Jeez, that is not ideal. It looks like most of the Russian forces have been taken care of. There is a couple of line infantry units left, so we'll move our forces down, see if we can engage them with a few shots just to save our cavalry units. Okay, come on guys, let's move. And that Russian army is broken, so they are fleeing. So can we get a Mamluk unit to take them out? We will attempt that. We will send our general instead. Our general is going straight down the hill. Okay. We might be able to get to them quite quickly. This Russian line is moving towards our cavalry. We're just moving south. We will attempt to engage them with our Israelis. Come on guys. Continue to move south. Yes, let's go. Take them out. So I think with the Desert Warriors taking such a hit, I think we're going to have more than 10% of our army taken out. So we'll see what the final verdict is at the end of the battle. Our general is gaining some additional experience by taking out some of these Cossack or line infantry units. Looks like it's Cossack units. That's great, and we'll just continue to run down the last of the Russians as quickly as we can, and that is pretty much the battle over. So we'll run down these forces, and then we will have a look and see how we have done in this battle. So I think the Mamluks have done quite well for themselves. taking out quite a few units, and for the most part the Israeli line infantry have held their own. A couple of units with around 120 odd soldiers remaining, so they've taken quite a hit, and one unit with 103, so they took a really big hit. But hopefully the experience they gained will help them, especially when we capture the city and when we look to engage Russian troops further as the coming years progress. So we're just going to run them down. Just make sure that we take out as many soldiers as possible, especially line infantry. We don't want them to have many of the line infantry remaining. I think the Russian line is slightly superior to even our Israelis, so we do need to make sure that we're taking them out as quick as we can. The animations on the Empire models sometimes are a bit hilarious. So our general's taking out all those units, and we have quite a few dead scattered around the place, which is great to see in terms of Russian dead. Hopefully we haven't lost too many units in our engagements, so we're just speeding things up, just taking out the last of the Russian forces. Hopefully we can take out these guys swiftly, and it looks like that's the last of the units, so yep, decisive victory will end the battle there. So we've ended the battle there. Looking at our results, the enemy killed 238 of our units, we lost 246 in total, we killed 943 of their units, and they lost 1001 units. So looking at that, we can suggest that for every one Ottoman soldier killed by the Russians, we took out roughly 4 Russian soldiers. Quite a few units had no change in their experience. We had at least one unit that increased their experience, which is good. But yeah, so we've lost quite a few units. We had about 8 units die potentially due to friendly fire, while the Russians had about 58 units either through friendly fire or desertion were killed. So overall, not too bad of a score, and I think it's around 15% of our forces were lost. So that remains higher than the target we're looking for of around 10%, but still significantly lower than what we saw at the capture of Vienna. Feel free to pause these just to read the notifications that have come through, letters of demands, Austria-Hungary. We've got new regions or new towns have emerged, so in Romania and in Hungary, and we've got a couple new units. So again, looking at the state of the empire, the year is 1715, we have 4,000 gold in our treasury. There are some economic buildings that can be upgraded. Unrest mostly focused around the new acquisitions from Austria, so Pressburg, Vienna and Zagreb. So we'll look to maneuver our forces around there just to keep public order satisfaction at a manageable level, but that again will take some time, especially in Vienna. We'll eventually need to look at building a madras just to try and get that religious unrest down from the heart of the Catholic position in Central Europe. The borderlands remain stable, and again there's economic upgrades that can be reviewed. I think next turn we will look to capture Kiev. Again, the only real threat at the moment are coming from the Russian territories, where they might try to take back some of the acquisitions that we had north of the Caucasus. But again, the Russian movements aren't very widespread. We'll need to also keep an eye on Persia. We have been betrayed by them in the past, and without a standing army there, it could be quite devastating if they were to launch an attack against us. We'll need to also make sure that we keep the areas like Cairo and the Middle East in check in case the British do decide to launch any ground assault there. So again, the main focuses will be getting those economic upgrades going so we can get that prosperity up. We need to make sure all the trade lanes are kept open. just to ensure that we have that financial backing, and then managing the unrest for the new territories that we have conquered. So a good few priorities that we'll need to focus on, and then decide where we're going to move to in the next episode. We'll definitely look at Kiev and possibly Venice, but I think that's the main focus is going forward. We'll leave the video here. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments on how you found this episode and the progression of the Ottoman Empire. This is F, signing out. Goodbye.